Hello, everyone. It's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, I have with me an awesome guest today. I have Gordan Dimmack. Hello, everyone. Clear that. I have Gordan Dimmack with me. I was about to call him the Gordan Dimmack Show, but it's not the Gordan Dimmack Show. It's just Gordan Dimmack. What's going on, man? How's it going?
Great, thank you, mate. I'm just tweeting this out to everybody. There you go. I'm great, thank you. How are you? It was late. It was late notice, wasn't it?
It was late notice. It was like 5 minutes ago. Like, hey, can you do the show? Sure, I can do it now or never. Like, all right, let's do it now. Let's do the news now. So I'm bringing you on because you're my residential Brit, and you are in the midst of the storm that is Brexit. And not just in the midst of the storm that's Brexit. Today, I'm an insomniac, and I am watching 7 MPs from Labour each get up and trash Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party before saying essentially we're quitting in these kind of bold, dramatic ways, and we're starting our own new group. And elements of the Tory party, Theresa May, and her groups were quick to kind of seize on that. Oh, this Jeremy Corbyn can't take office. His own party. Look at his own party. His own party is falling apart. And does that. And then you find out that there are Tories who are also talking about joining the same Breakaway party. So, Gordon, you are there. What the hell is going on in Britain within regards to 3 things? Who are these people? Are these just Blairites, disgruntled Blairites who want Brexit to be a particular way and using anti-Semitism charges as a way to try to hack at Jeremy Corbyn? What is going to be the effect from the standpoint of Brexit? Meaning, what does this mean for Brexit? Also, what does this mean for Corbyn, potentially, or Labour government taking power? So, I'll let you answer those any way you want to answer.
What was the first part of that trifecta, by the way?
You want me to remember the first question? No, yeah. I'm joking. No, what's essentially, who are these people that are doing this? Are these Blairites who are disenchanted with the direction that Jeremy Corbyn is taking Labour, essentially making Labour actually represent Labour?
Yeah. So about 15 years ago, I went on holiday to Mallorca, and I slept on the beach one night because it was 15 years ago and I was a lad. Right. And on the way back home, there was a big long straight road going into Puerto Pollença, which was the town I was stopping in. And there was a gigantic car crash right in front of me that happened. I haven't been transfixed on anything since until today, until these 7 centrists. Because that was what it was. It was an absolute car crash. Now, as to who these people are,
I think that was your first question, just to back you up on that. Apparently, on the BBC, one of the people, when they saw this, when these guys did this press conference, there is a leaked mic thing where
I did a video.
I was like, "We're fucked."
I did a video because these people are I mean, we call them over there. You would call them Centrist Democrats.
Yeah.
Over here, we call them cunts because that's what they are. They are everything they are everything you hate about the Democratic Party in America. That's who they are. We call them Blairites. We call them neoliberals. They are, the people who are pretty good on social issues. Pretty good on gay marriage. They're pretty good on gay marriage. They're pretty much on equal rights. They're pretty good on on all the social things, but then they're pretty much pro every single war possible. They're anti-marijuana legislation, and they are, over there, there would be anti-healthcare. There would be anti-Medicare for all. It would fit great in the Democratic caucus. One of the guys.
The guy the billionaire who's deciding to leave the Democratic Party and run as a third-party contender because he's angry that Ocasio-Cortez and some of the other Democrats are talking about taxing his wealth. Like, that's who these guys are. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we don't like that some of the members of the Democratic Party are talking about adding a wealth tax. We don't like that. And so I'm going to run against this party that I've been affiliated with my entire life. That's who Howard Schultz is. That's who these guys are. Am I wrong?
Isn't he?
Said it again?
Howard Schultz is the Starbucks guy, isn't he?
He's the Starbucks guy. He's running for president.
What the Who the fuck does he think's going to vote for him?
He's running for president. He said,
when you said Howard Schultz, I
using
thought
the term billionaire.
That's got to be wrong.
No, he is. I shit you not. CNN gave him a town hall and all. He's running.
American politics isn't top enough.
Yeah, he's running for president.
That's
he didn't like the idea that they were taxing his wealth, and so he wants to essentially teach the Democratic Party a lesson. And he is running against the party to which he is affiliated with.
Well, I did a check on their voting record. These 7, 2 of these 7 are one of the what we would call hardline Blairites. There are about 14 I found. They call them hardline Blairites because they're the worst of the worst. They voted. Remember when David Cameron went to Parliament and asked to go and bomb Syria in 2014, and they said no. Well, there were 66 Labour MPs that actually voted for that bombing. Remember, this is the 2014 bombing that he wanted to do, that is based now on evidence that the UN have said is most probably the rebels that actually caused this gas attack in Syria. That one. David Cameron went. There were 66 Labour MPs who voted for that bombing. Every single one of them are in that 7.
Wow.
There are 14 hardline Blairites in the party who voted not just for every basically military intervention there has been. Chuka Umunna has voted constantly for war over and over and over, as of the others. But also they voted for the renewal of Trident, which is our missile thing, which is just outdated, and you know it either needs scrapping or something totally different being done, or they also what was the other one as well? Oh, they voted for George Osborne's austerity package. And 2 of those are in these 7. So wow. 2 of the 14 Blairites, the hardline Blairites, who vote against everything that you or I would want, they've gone. So that's good. I mean, that's a 7th of the hardline Blairites gone already. And then it's just about the other 5. Now, the thing is, what I'm hearing through reports in the media, so how much is true, but you know, some of the stuff you can sort of sniff around the edges and say, right, okay, some of this is true. But it seems like there was apparently up until last night up to a possible 30 Labour members that were going to defect. And then they've come out, these 7 have, and come out. Now, what I think is what usually happens is, what happens with these breakaways is some go immediately, others test the waters and see how they're received before then jumping ship. And maybe they thought that there were going to be more defections tonight or tomorrow. But based on the performance today, the car crash that has happened. First of all, as you say, there was a BBC report and he was on a hot mic, and there was a guy in the background while this press conference was going on with Chuka Umunna and what is her name? Luciana Berger speaking. And the guy at the BBC, in the office at the BBC, I suppose he was just like in sort of the monitoring room or whatever it was. And he was saying, he's mad. He's mad. We're fucked. Between this and Brexit, we're fucked. So there was that to start off with. Then literally 2 hours later, 2 hours after this press conference, of these 7 Labour members who've left primarily because they say the Labour Party is anti-Semitic, which is not. We'll get to that in a second. But within 2 hours, one of them, Angela Smith, I think one of their names is on BBC answering a question about racism, and she actually says, well, it's not all about colour, or what was it, or the shades or something like that, or the tinges of brown. I mean, come on, you've left a party saying, I've left it because it's racist, and within 2 hours of launching another party, you're saying racist shit on the BBC. Yeah, it doesn't get more hypocritical, and it has been a train wreck the whole day. It's just been one after another. So if there was another 20 odd or 25 Labour members about to jump ship,
they backed out.
Then I sincerely hope that they will think against it. Then, although Stephen Kinnock might still be dumb enough to do it. But what I will say is this: every single member of that 7 is a member of the Labour Friends of Israel. And that's what this all comes down to. And
thing.
that's what the anti-Semitism row comes down to. But as you know, they always play the anti-Semitism card
Yes, they do.
when you are critical of Palestine, because they have got no defense for what they're doing.
Yes, exactly.
And obviously these Labour friends of Israel are there to deflect as much as possible. And obviously what they did today was a fucking stunt. It's not even a political party they've joined, for God's sake. It's a private fucking company. Come on. You've basically just said, I am not going to be a politician in the next election because, hey, I was going to get primaried anyway through mandatory reselection. I might as well just go and set up this fucking think tank or whatever it is and make money that way. And that's basically what they're doing. It's almost, I mean, to me, it's almost like these seven have abdicated the fact that they're going to be politicians for the rest of their lives and accepted the fact that they were going to lose. And the thing that pisses me off the most, sorry to rant on here, Luciana Berger, she's been one of the major voices calling Jeremy Corbyn anti-Semite, and the Labour Party is racist, anti-Semitic, blah, 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 blah. She has been parachuted in to that safest of safe fucking seats on the back of a manifesto, on the back of groundroots organising, on the back of money raised on a platform that she went out there and supported. And now, because she's going to be primaried through mandatory reselection, she said, oh, no, I'm independent now. And by the way, we're not going to have a by-election. So all of them are fucking gutless as well, because otherwise they would call a by-election and say, fine, primary me.
That was the other part that I was going to get at. So this would be like somebody getting elected and then saying, by the way, now I'm a Republican. Thanks for electing me.
Imagine Bernie Sanders doing it without saying without them knowing he was going to do it first.
Right.
Imagine Bernie Sanders doing that with the Democrats as he does, without the Democrats knowing that he's going to do that, and then having an arrangement. Him actually being elected, serving as a Democrat for 8 years, and then saying, no, I'm independent now, and not being primaried just after he'd won an election a year after.
It's like people voted for you to be in part of Labor. Now you're saying you're not part of Labor, and you're not going to have an election, so those people can make a determination of whether or not they want you to continue in that.
But the thing is, Jamal, this is why Labour have got such a problem, and what people don't understand, and I didn't understand until quite recently, to be honest. The more you investigate things and scratch under the surface, but it's not just the Labour Party that has got this problem with the Blairites. It's not just the MPs that you see. It's the PLPs, it's the CLPs. The Blairites are overwhelmingly outnumbering what you would call the progressives in the Labour Party. And then you've got progressives like me who love Jeremy Corbyn's platform, who will not, under any circumstance, join the Labour Party because they welcome people like Tony Blair. He's still a fully fledged member. Yeah. He is a war criminal. George Galloway was right about the Iraq war, and he was expelled from the Labour Party for being right about the Iraq war. So I can't join a party like that. So this is the problem they've got now. They can't have people like me in it who are principled, because our principles stop us from being in the fucking Labour Party in the first place.
No, I can understand that. That makes sense. Wow. So today has essentially been a car crash. So what does this mean for Brexit? And what does this mean from the standpoint of
nothing?
Oh,
nothing.
No.
Brexit was always going to be kicked down the road, and it was always going to be extend it as much as possible, kick it down the road, make the thing that's the closest thing to a Brexit that people voted for, which is the no-deal Brexit. This is what they keep saying. It's not a no-deal Brexit, Jamal. It's a Brexit under WTO rules, which is essentially the same way your country trades with the world and Australia. That's essentially what it is. This no-deal Brexit, that's what it is. Brexit under WTO rules. It sounds totally terrifying when they call it no deal Brexit, though. And this is what elements of they've made it toxic as possible by slandering and slating it for the last 2 years.
Yes.
So now they're going to kick the can down the road. It doesn't really mean much for Brexit. I don't think. Other people will, say, oh, it means this, that, and the other. I don't think we're not going to leave the way it stands. They're not going to.
And to be fair, their votes were going to be their votes, whether they were part of Labor or not. Like, it's not like their votes on this particular issue are going to change. Many of them left because of the Brexit policy. Like I said, Friends of Israel with the Brexit policy too.
Yeah, I mean, Chuka Amuna, I'm sorry I keep going back to him, but I've got a real bug. But there's certain politicians that you hate.
Yes. Yes, I do.
He's the antipathy of everything I stand for.
Yeah.
Is what he is. He's the opposite.
He's also
I
the
don't know whether I
ringleader
used antipathy in the right word, in the right way there.
He's
I
this
had a
black and
Barry
red.
Weiss moment.
So
So
Blackfoot.
I hate him. He when we left, when we voted to leave, when we had Brexit, for months afterwards, he said over and over and over, a second referendum would be undemocratic. Now he's pictured outside 10 Downing Street, delivering the petition to 10 Downing Street for a second referendum. That's the sort of asshole he is.
Sort of asshole.
He voted against a measure or a motion, I think you call it, put forward by Norman Lamond, a Liberal Democrat MP. And the motion was literally just to have a discussion about what to do with the marijuana laws in this country.
Yeah.
And he voted against even having a fucking discussion.
I don't even want to talk about it. That's essentially what he's saying. We don't even want to discuss it.
That's honestly, he makes me want. I'm not a violent man. I'm not as angry and aggressive as I get on my videos. I'm not a violent man, but him, I would make an exception. I really would. He annoys me.
So what does this mean for labor? Now, I think it was John McDonnell. Was it John McDonnell? Kind of made this point that this could keep Tories in power for the next 10 years.
It's certainly done them a favor, hasn't it, Jamal?
Yeah.
It's not done the Tories any harm, hasn't it? At the time, remind me, what happened most recently, Jamal? Didn't our government weren't we found in contempt of Parliament in December for the first time ever?
Yes, we were. Yes, the government was. Yes, the government was.
Constitutional crisis. I mean, what would be better timing for the Conservatives than to have a Labour meltdown than right now? What? I wonder.
I think there are elements of let's say the Blairite bunch that are terrified of a Jeremy Corbyn taking power for two reasons. And I think I made this argument on my video. One, he asserts the Palestinian position, which by definition makes him anti-Semitic, which is utter nonsense. Like the idea that you say, I don't want you occupying somebody else's territory, somehow makes you racist because you don't want them occupying somebody else's territory. The second part boils down to this thing of attacking Corbyn or trying to find anything to hit him with, particularly with in regards to Brexit. They want a second referendum. Forget the fact that they already had a referendum. Like the country voted for Brexit. And it doesn't seem to be that they're delivering that Brexit. What does this mean from the standpoint of whether or not this maintains a Tory government? Because after all, who are they going to work with? I mean, you guys have a parliamentary system. I mean, even if they form their own party, they have to work with somebody within a coalition because they're not going to have a majority. Are they working with Labour? Are they working with Tories?
Well, the Tories will stop in power for as long as they can. I can't see a general election now being. The Tories are not going to call one. It's too close. The poll's too close. And to be honest, you know what polls are like. I think polls are there more to manufacture opinion rather than to actually inform it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Jeremy Corbyn, if he campaigned the way he did last time, he would win and win handsomely and would get a majority. I have a feeling that is the case, but obviously I could be wrong. It's all guesswork.
Yeah.
But one thing I know is this. I said it before on your channel, and this is a saying that I repeat over and over now. Peter Hitchens has said, and he's right, the Tories would behead the Queen in Trafalgar Square if it meant them holding on to power. And I'm afraid them holding on to power does not include calling a general election. And honestly,
I agree with
that. The only way I can see one being called now is actually if people get in the streets and there's unrest.
Yeah, I can't.
That's honestly the only way I can see one now.
The Tory government calling an election when they thought they may lose that election. But I don't know what party would do that. Like parties tend to try to ensure the fact that they remain in power. And particularly like here in the Republican Party, it's even worse. I mean, in our system, I think it's North Carolina, the Republican governor loses the election. And the Republican legislature starts to pass laws to limit the powers of the Democrat who's coming in office, like stuff like that, like insane stuff, or doing stuff to try to cut down on the number of people who are able to vote in an election because those people hurt your chances of winning. Yeah. Like, so I understand what you mean by the Tories saying they'll behead the Queen in Trafalgar Square.
Well, look at what's happening, Jamal. Look how hypocritical they are. I mean, there was a vote. There was a vote well, a vote that was actually cancelled in December that was brought forward that she lost massively.
Yeah.
But basically 150, 160 members of her own party, of her own backbenchers, said, no, we don't trust our prime minister to deliver Brexit.
Yes.
Then in the very next week, voted the opposite way to say we trust our prime minister to actually lead this country.
Well, but
that's the only thing that this country should do in the next 3 months. And you're saying you don't trust the prime minister to do it, but you trust her with the country. You can't hold both of those things.
Yeah,
this is obviously political voting, and this is the way they have managed to stop in power for so long, because none of them, it seems, have actually got any morals. Well, surprise.
It seems like the prime minister is losing control of her government. That's what it looks like. I mean, she's been losing votes left and right. I mean, the only reason the Plan B thing passed is because she's going to, this impossible dream of getting the European Union.
It's not really. She didn't get it passed, did she? She just, she managed to. It's all. I honestly,
$1 billion if you let me go past this point and say, okay, I'll give you the $1 billion, knowing full goddamn well that you can't get $1 billion. Like,
yeah, I know, Jamal, but you got to understand. It's more like you got to understand their way of thinking, because once you understand, okay, their whole plan is to kick things down the road, then you can start understanding, right? Okay, this is what they're doing. Yeah. So when she says, right, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some questions in Parliament on Tuesday, and then I'm going to have a meeting with Juncker on Thursday, and then we're going to see. And in her mind, she's thinking, right, okay, there's another 7 days gone.
Yeah, she's stalling.
Okay, we're going to go, and we're going to have this, and then it's like, right, there's another 2 week block, there's another 2 week block, there's another 3 week block. And before you know it, it's 2.5 half years down the line. And this is basically what before you know it, Brexit is upon us, and oh shit, we've got to extend Article 50. Yeah. Otherwise, this big Brexit, no deal Brexit monster that we've created over the last 2 years is going to come to fruition. You can honestly see this is the way they're thinking. Honestly, I think they're doing this.
I think she's kicking the can down the road because she doesn't have an answer.
Sorry?
I think she's kicking the can down the road because she doesn't have an answer.
Of course she is. Of course she is. And the thing that pisses me off is our media don't ever say this, I mean,
Corbyn kind of makes that point, like she's stalling, like ultimately she's running the clock down, and it's vote for my deal, which you hate, or no deal Brexit, which is the doom bringer of apocalyptic. It's like forcing a choice on the people who, even though they may not necessarily be on board for you, don't necessarily like the other scenario, in which case they may choose your scenario. Like, it feels like it's this kind of threat of Brexit of sorts in order to.
I do think this. I honestly think this. I honestly think that we're in a position now, and I am not for a second thinking that sometime in the past 2 years, 2.5 years ago, somewhere people were talking about this very scenario actually being the ideal scenario to be in.
Yeah.
It's almost like they couldn't have fucked this up as bad as they have unless it was fucking intentional.
Right. Your point is nobody could be that incompetent. No, not intentional.
To err is human, but to be absolutely, totally fucking incompetent is just impossible.
I love that. It's like, there's no way.
That is pretty much the situation in the UK. But hey, could be worse. We could be in America, because pretty crap over there.
Your president, you could have all. Yeah, that is true. Do you realize he shut the government down for what? Almost a month, more than a month, in order to get a border wall for a crisis that doesn't exist. And
how shit are the Democrats messaging that he was allowed to do that and got barely any pushback at all?
Well, here's the thing.
It happened under Obama, and it's almost like he had destroyed the world.
Everybody blamed Trump for it. So for better or worse, they understood the president is throwing a temper tantrum in order to get the thing for his base. Everybody understood it. Like, this wasn't even like, I wonder, this kind of political fig leaf. Donald Trump in the press conference, he gave this all over the place press conference where he was talking about like North Korea and all. And he finally gets to the main point. And he says, I didn't have to do this, but I wanted to get this done faster. And you're like, but you just said it was an emergency. You
I didn't have to do it.
Yeah,
This was
I didn't have to
emergency.
do this.
Didn't have to do it.
I didn't have to do this. Yeah, this is
Jamal is an asshole. No, nothing he does surprises me ever.
it is bizarre. This is a campaign pledge. I would say this though: if Obama went to the Met like this to close Guantanamo Bay, like
exactly. You know what? You know what? To be fair to you and I always try and be fair to people, don't we?
Yeah.
And to be fair to him, there are things that you can admire about Trump, even though you hate his guts. For instance, if Obama went to the mattresses, like you just said, for Guantanamo Bay, the way Trump has to his campaign pledge, then I think maybe we would look a little differently on Obama than we do right now. Let's face it.
Would have, yes. I mean, if
at least we could see fighting instead of standing there and then a few years later going, "Oh, we're torturing some folks."
Couldn't do anything. The Republicans were stopping me. Yeah, and we tortured some folks. Yeah, that famous quote.
Yeah, and that was it. And the press let him off with it because he was saying to Obama. But now we're seeing the ugly side of them because now it's Trump doing it. All of a sudden they're outraged, and we can see through the hypocrisy. It's really quite blatant and in the open. It's much the same over here as well, and this is why I think what we do is so important.
Dude, thank you very much for coming on the show. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
No, man, just thanks very much. I'm going to go and cook myself something to eat now, and get in my pajamas.
Have fun. Thanks, man. Gordan,
thanks very much, Jamal. Love you, buddy. Peace.
All right, I'll put a link to Gordon's show at the bottom for you guys to check him out. He does political commentary for the UK, and if I'm not mistaken, he also does some in the United States. Thanks, guys. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate you coming.